G'day guys, welcome back to another special episode of Motorsport Republica with Chris Vermuelen. Thanks for coming back on, mate.
Yeah, no, good to see you guys. We see you around in the paddock. It's and I see what you guys are doing. It's great to see, and we can catch up again. So very good.
Yeah, it's always unreal.
It's really good. It's we're back down again for round 5 of the ASPK, the island, and it's not pissing down rain, so it's really nice.
We just missed it, I think, just before as those little cars came on. So fingers crossed.
It was sort of there was a few bits of rain there before. Sorry, and but yeah, September at Phillip Island, you don't know what you're going to get, right? We had fantastic weather today, but
yeah, it was real lucky. I mean, you never know what you're going to get.
Well,
any time of year
October,
at
the
Phillip
MotoGP, right? It can be very average. Let's face it.
All MotoGP last year was as bad as it was ever going to get, and then we were back down the week after for
Aussie Supers.
Aussie Supers, and it was
pristine.
primo.
I know, and that's the thing with this place. I've been down here. I did some filming with Casey Stoner, and we did a ride lap in August one year, and it was perfect. It was like 15 degrees, no wind, pure sun. We're riding Triumph Tigers, so it wasn't much fun for that.
Oh, I've seen that.
But we were like, oh, imagine if we had a good bike. This is like primo Phillip Island, but yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, no, not at all. Fingers crossed it holds out tomorrow, but so we can get some good racing.
Exactly. So.
I obviously missed a lot of today, but who's looking fast?
Josh Waters is...
Again, he's
Phillip Island specialist. I shouldn't say that. He's fast in a lot of places. The Ducati works well. Josh knows how to get a lap time out of this place. Crew Halliday was second fastest on the Yamaha.
Lightning today, wasn't he?
Yeah, very very good lap times. And Harrison Voigt.
Yeah, good to see him back as well.
You know, he's either just turned 18 or just about to turn 18. He's a young fella. Doing great things in Europe, and really cool that he's got the time to come and do some of these races, and he's very fast on that thing. So
yeah, he looks really good. Even it's just great for the sport to have all these young guys. You know, Maxi Stauffer, Cam Dunker.
Yep, exactly.
It's really good seeing him in there.
Yep, exactly. And even Brock Pearson, a little bit older, but still someone that's still come through and is still a younger bloke. You know, so doing well
on those leader bikes, doing like when they're 16, 17, 18. It's crazy. Like I can't imagine doing that as a 29-year-old, but like racing around in anger for a 16-year-old. You have to have maturity on your head though to kind of know where the limit is and to find it and not get that such white line fever at the same time.
100%.
Is amazing.
I rode an R1 at 16. I did the Australian Superbike Championship at a production. The rules, I rode an R1 that year basically, but an R1 then had 150 horsepower, not 200 horsepower. You know, so everything is very very different, and the speed's higher, and it was a big deal when I did it, but it's a bigger deal now. But saying that, the kids are starting racing at a younger age. Like I did no racing and then got on an R1, you know, so it's good that we've got those classes that allows them to come through, 100%. You know, those Ovale classes, and then the R1 Cup or Oceanic Junior Cup, whatever it is, and the 300 class, and they can start from sort of 9-10 years old. So it's really good because my day, the old day, sound old now. Back in my day, to be 16 to start road racing. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, times have definitely changed.
And that would have been a lot of flat track you would have done before that, and motocross and everything like that.
Yeah, I did a bit of motocross and a bit of flat track, and worked out that I enjoyed speed over height. Even though I only got about that high, right? But it scared the hell out of me, so I'll stick to something that goes fast. Yep.
No, I like it. It was interesting. When we did our pod with Mike Jones, I guess every road racer we talked to were like, you know, what's your background and what you do, and we kind of just assumed he did flat track, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right.
He didn't do any of it, did he?
No. Yeah, it was really interesting to get his take. It was just always all road.
Yes, and in his style, you can see that, right? He's very much in line compared to someone like a Pearson or Troy Bayliss. Let's face it, like that. He loves his flat track, but you can see that in his style. So it is very different, and there's no right and wrong way. It's just what you develop and how you progress as a rider, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Even I think he's the only one that we've spoken to that's
only
come
person.
from that.
It's pretty rare.
It's pretty rare.
It's pretty rare, especially as an Aussie. My year or earlier, that was Aussies and Yanks dominated, right? And we came from flat track because the bikes had no electronics, so you could control and manage a slide. It didn't affect you. And the Europeans caught on to that a bit later, and the good Europeans, early guys, Spanish, they used to do a lot of training at Kenny Roberts' ranch to learn that flat track style. And obviously the Spanish are dominating now, but they take every aspect. They don't just do that. They ride mini bikes on the bitumen. They ride flat track. They ride motocross. It's all little things that you can take and use the advantage.
Yeah, and put it into play. Guys, we've got a fantastic offer coming to you for this month and this month only. 15% off Pirelli tyres at motoheaven.com.au. Now, our friends are running this awesome deal on the Super Corsa V4s, the Rosso Corsa 4, the Rosso 4, and the Angel GT2. Wild, because Pirelli barely goes on sale. And to get 15% off is mind-boggling, in all honesty.
Huge.
It's crazy.
It is.
Guys, you never pay full price at Motor Heaven.
It's the best.
All orders over $100, free shipping. Amazing.
It is. It's great. And they literally have the best website in the country. It's so easy to use. They're unbiased. You can get any brand you want. They'll send it out. It is amazing. They've got parts finders, tyre finders. Go to motoheaven.com.au. You can grab whatever you want. Showy helmets, AGVs, Dyne Easy, Alpine Stars. They literally have it up. Chains, sprockets, whatever you want for your bike. KX250, R1, motoheaven.com.au. Go check it out.
Best in the business,
Best
guys.
in the business.
We love
Best in the
it.
business. We love it.
Awesome. I mean, I guess we're seeing that with VR46
I was
Academy,
gonna
right?
say.
Like, he's got the
100%.
ranch, he's got the Lido Ovalis as well, and they're training at Masano all the time.
I know. What a
And
setup that is.
Aspar's got that. Aspar's got a place too in Spain.
Yep.
And Marquez was there with David Alonso recently, and
That's a pairing to like.
isn't it?
that's
Man,
crazy.
like
Mate.
that kid is good, and then you're going to get help from
him.
one of the greatest. Like this is going to be it's pretty special, I reckon. Yeah, looking forward. So and Pedro Acosta, what he can do on some of that stuff. I spoke to Jack Miller a couple of years ago when Pedro was strong in. I call him 125s all the time. That's how I look. Moto3. And Jack said, yeah, I was out, we were riding Navales, and I just got a riding lesson off Pedro. Like, he just showed me how to get around a track. You know, that's how good and developed they are at such a young age. You know,
That's crazy. Did you see any footage or photos of him testing that Moto2?
I did see just a quick clip, but it's interesting, isn't it, that KTM still want him to do stuff
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
on that.
crazy.
So, and that's very different to a MotoGP bike, right? No electronics.
No.
Very different engine and chassis, tire. Interesting that they're doing that. And it doesn't affect him. He can just go from one to the other. Because some guys changing motorcycles like that really
Messes with you.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to get the most out of it. Yeah, not him.
No, not at all. And he looked a lot better on it coming off the GP bike than what he did on it last
Well,
year. He was
yeah.
hanging off it like a spider monkey. It was crazy.
It's easier. Generally, it's easier to go backwards
Of course,
in class.
yeah.
It's harder to step up, but yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool, and he just loves riding motorbikes.
Oh, absolutely.
Clearly,
He's a
yeah.
character, man.
Yeah. I
He's
like
so
him a
funny.
lot. I like him a lot, and he's well respected in the paddock. Everyone says he just walks around the media center. He's there. He's available for everyone. He's just a cool guy.
That's so unreal.
Yeah, and
What do you-
fast, eh?
What do you think of his first season in GPs anyway? How have you made of that?
Look, there was a lot of hype coming in, and it's difficult to live up to that hype, especially with what someone like Mark did. You know, when
Yeah.
he came in and then was champion straight up. But it's a different time.
Yeah.
And Mark came in on a bike that could win the championship.
that's right.
Pedro has come in on a bike that, let's face it, it's probably not going to win the championship. Even with a Pecco Bagnaia on it or a Martin, it's not going to win the championship, right? So I think he's done a really good job. They're not easy to get your head around working at 350 kilometers an hour. And I think he's done a great job with limited testing. And he's leading KTM or whatever they.
Yeah, I think he is. Is he?
Yeah, he would be.
I think
definitely
he would have. Yeah. Well, let's face. And last time out, Binder was right behind him, and at the end of the race at Aragon, he rode away from him from a
streaked
couple
away.
of seconds.
Yep.
Brad's got a lot more experience than him, and
That's very true.
and Brad Binder's not a slow rider. So,
No, absolutely not.
You know, no, I'm very impressed. I think it's a great rookie season. The hype probably makes it sound not as good as it could have been,
Of course.
but I think it's a great rookie season. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he started super strong.
yeah,
And then sort of, I think as people might have expected, sort of plateaued a little bit and then just
Yep.
sort of leveled out. And
Yep.
then now he's sort of
Yeah.
come back and hit it hard.
Yeah,
He's coming
yeah.
up to a couple of tracks that he likes.
yep.
Flyaways, as you know, they throw up weird and
Yep.
wacky results
And
all
you
the
can
time.
MotoGP is difficult at the moment with learning the technology
That's
and
the thing.
how do you get the most out of the front tire. And some of those bad races, let's face it, it could have been a high front tire pressure, or not everything comes out. Or there could have been bike issues, or
Yeah.
how many times have we heard of ride height devices not disengaging,
Yeah.
or Marquez's one where he couldn't engage it, and it just ruins. There's things like that, and we don't know what's
Yeah, we
going
don't
on
know the whole
everywhere.
story.
But yeah, no, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts on all that? You know, especially the tire pressure stuff. Let's be real. I think it's a joke. Like we always say, it's an absolute
it just
joke.
can ruin a race so easily.
Okay, I know why the rule's there, and it's a safety thing for Michelin. Okay, they don't want to have a tire delaminate or puncture for bad reasons, and they don't want any bad publicity. They don't want anyone to get hurt, but they haven't had one.
That's right.
So it's a bit harsh, right? When the rule affects the racing if the rule didn't affect the racing so much, fine, put the
no
rule
one
in.
would care about it.
Doesn't matter. But when such a small margin can make the difference between being first or eighth, that's wrong.
It's funny you say bad publicity though, because it's already bad publicity because Michelin and all these, it doesn't make me want to buy Michelin just because it annoys me that much.
Because you might put the wrong tire pressure in when you got to go to the cafe, right? I get it.
I need my own Michelin crew chief to do my tire pressures
not
every
wrong,
morning.
But you're 100% right when you say it like that. You think of it, people are going to go, well, hold on. Moto2's just switched to the Pirellis and they're shaving seconds off their time.
Yep.
I'll put that on my road bike.
Well, I know, and Michelin did that when they came in, right? They wanted to go and beat all of Bridgestone's lap records, and that was a big deal. But yeah, is this working for them? I don't know.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. It's interesting. The Pirelli thing surprised me though. Just touching on that briefly, I didn't think they would go and beat all of the Dunlop lap records, but they are in both classes. They're really doing a great job.
Yeah.
It's been hard for some riders to adapt because the feeling is different.
Correct.
Tony
But-
Arbolino is
Prime example.
Yeah.
Jake Dixon,
Yeah.
early part of the season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that was a suspension and tyre thing, but yeah, no, he's fast now, and if you can get your head around that, they are
It's a
different to
game
ride.
changer.
Yeah,
It'll be
very much.
interesting to see if they want to go into MotoGP. I'm sure that's the goal for Pirelli.
100%. 100% is their goal. What they got World Superbike, they've
Yeah.
got Formula One,
Yep.
Yeah, they'll have.
they've
the
got
monopoly.
Moto2, Moto3. Yeah,
It's just a tire kind of bred for racing, isn't it? Though, like
It is.
yeah.
And clearly, like they go straight into Moto2, as you said, and just beat lap records.
I know, and that this will be their entry into the paddock, and it'll be what their target is. But at the end of the day, it's all commercial, let's say. So let's see which way it goes. Yeah, but I'm just going back to that. No, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the ride height devices. I'm not a fan of the aerodynamics, and I'm not a fan of that tire pressure rule. I'm not a fan of there's a lot of things. The green painted areas and the extra bitumen runoff.
Yeah, 100%.
The yellow flag rule if someone's crashed in a session that
Yes.
your lap is.
Tom will love you for that one. He hates that rule.
There's lots of things that I'm not a fan of. I don't know what's right to make it all right. Like the aero stuff, how do you control that? And how do you say no aero? Well, our bike comes out. It's a difficult one. I don't pretend to know how to write the rules, but they're not right at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. The aero ones seem to be everyone's biggest pet peeve right
Yeah,
now.
well, that affects the front tire. I think that's a big thing because of the disturbed air and how that affects it's Formula One's. It's Formula One technology from 20 years ago, right?
Yep.
That's right.
And that's not what motorbike racing is about. Motorbike racing should be about the racing. Formula One should be about the technology. Is my opinion. And,
100%.
And we want close racing.
And that's the thing. We always say we're not fussed about lap records.
No, if
Couldn't care.
the guys are doing 28s at Phillip Island or 32s, does it matter? No.
No way.
But if there's
that's
50 passes in the front group or 3, well, that's a boring Grand Prix or a great Grand Prix, isn't it?
Or Moto3 is a prime example.
Yep.
Yep.
You know?
Look at it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's normally the best race of the night if you watch it in Australia on a Sunday night.
Yep.
It's Moto3.
And when I worked at Fox Sports doing the TV coverage, Moto3 audience was not that much less than MotoGP, and it was a lot more than Moto2 because people would tune in to watch good racing. Moto2, let's face it, for a lot of years was a bit of procession.
With those Honda engines.
So there was viewers would go down, and then it would build up again because the Premier class, and we normally had an Aussie in there doing well. But people wanted to watch Moto3. Yep,
it's always 125's Moto3. It's
Yeah.
always just been.
It's always been the best.
exactly.
And 16, 17-year-olds who are
I know,
fearless.
and they don't care, do they? It's cool. That's good.
It's amazing watching the Colombian, what's his name?
David Alonso.
David Alonso.
Mental Blake. Like, yeah, he goes out and practice. He's something special. He goes out
Mm-hmm.
and practice sessions, and he's half a second clear of everyone else.
Yep.
Like, when do you see that? Unless you're finding a. We normally say on this
You
podcast.
see that when Marc Marquez goes to Aragon, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. We normally say, like, once every 10 years, we unearth a
Yeah.
gem. A Marquez, a Rossi, Pedro or David Alonso. Like it always just seems to be one that comes through, and
Yep.
I think he's the next one.
It seems like we're getting a lot of them though, right?
Yeah.
And they're all Spanish heritage. Seems like. Well, I
Yeah.
know Argentinian, but yeah, it's
Seems to be swinging that way again, doesn't it?
very
But-
much so. Very much so.
It's interesting, like, if you look at Guevara, Foggia, those sort of guys that came up, there was really Guevara sort of showed that in dribs and drabs, but now, like, as we always say, it takes a couple of years in that Moto2 category,
It does.
but they're still like Sergio Garcia is the only one from that Moto3
Yep.
class.
But he was special in Moto3. He wasn't a David Alonso, but he was very good. He couldn't manage situation. He was as fast as an Alonso, but he didn't manage to get the wins
Yes.
the same way. But yeah, he's showing his speed in Moto2 now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the only one that seems to have grasped that jump.
Yep.
With the others are just struggling big time.
The last one was Ralph Fernandez. Do you remember? So he came in, right, and he, as a rookie, and challenged
Yeah.
Remy for that
Yeah.
championship and was really strong. I'm not a fan of Ralph
Yeah.
because I'm more of a fan of Remy Gardner. And
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
face it,
that's fair enough.
They had that, but and he hasn't really done what I expected more out of him in MotoGP. But
Yeah.
that step, he came into Moto3 and he was strong instantly. Moto2 rookie year and challenged and won a lot of races
Yeah.
and really pushed Remy to the last round. But MotoGP's done nothing. Not much.
And he signed on again.
I know.
What-
I don't get it.
What do you think? There's obviously something that we can't see.
Spanish.
Like that's what we say.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't know because Sergio Garcia, I think, is not going to get that second Pramac seat
Yeah.
because he's Spanish, right?
oh,
because
there you go.
too many Spaniards. They don't want the field full. So I don't know. I don't know what the Ralph Fernandez.
There must be something in the
secret.
data.
And I don't think Davide Brivio or Trackhouse are the type of guys to keep a certain person on because of a nationality.
No.
So they obviously believe
There's
in
something
him.
there.
There must be something there.
Especially Brivio. He's actually pretty ruthless when you think of it.
Very much so.
And he's
Oh,
just seems like a
100%.
very
He
switched
just
on
wants
dude.
champions.
He wants champions and he knows how to build teams and make champions.
That's
for
right.
Sure. Yep.
He's proven.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
So
I'm not too sure, but yeah, like you look at like Sergio Garcia, he just jumped up and he just manages the tires, he manages the bikes. It's
yeah, but he weighs about 45 kilos like Danny Pedrosa. Like he's
helps.
a midget as well. Yeah.
It's talking about managing situations though. You look at David Alonso, and if he's fourth in the pack, okay,
Yep.
he can
He's coming
in one
through.
lap. He's coming through. He's
And
cold.
at the right time.
Yep.
There's guys that have that. I don't think that's something you can train. I think that's just something that's built
You
in.
got-
You've
got
got
it
it
or
or
you
you're
don't.
not. Yeah. Mark's pretty good at it.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the good guys are.
Yeah.
Acosta's good at it. You know, it's
Yeah.
those sorts of guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always that's that little extra, even 1% that
Yeah.
separates the champions from
Yeah.
best of the rest.
100%.
You
100%.
know, that's what gets them over the line ultimately.
Exactly. And that's and when they're characters, it's even better for us.
Oh
right?
man, it just makes it so much better.
That just makes the Valentino Rossi right there. When
Mm-hmm.
you're ruthless and can play up to the crowd, like how much better does that get?
Yep. Exactly. Well, yeah, he was the man, wasn't he? He was the man. So, yep.
We can go on a 4-hour pod about how good he was.
Look, I've raced against him,
Yeah.
and I've beaten him on a very few
True.
occasions.
Yep.
And I've been Rossi. For me, Rossi wasn't the greatest rider, like as in pure talent.
Yep.
You see him on track, and you go, "Oh yeah, I can
can see
see
what-
he's got more speed than me, but I can see where he's making that speed. Where someone like Casey or even Jorge at the time, you go, bloody hell, they're fast. Or Danny sometimes, not
Yeah.
always. Pedrosa, you go, they got speed, but I don't even know
Where you
where
got it
I can't do that. So the Rossi thing, but he had the whole package.
Yeah.
He could manage the tyre well. He knew how to race and control a race. He worked with the engineers, and sometimes he wasn't even fast all weekend. It wasn't him sandbagging. It was just them progressing and getting the thing out.
Yeah.
And he could start in the fourth row of the grid and win a race. He could start in pole and win a race. You know, like he just had this whole package and being able to manage situations. He was very good at getting everything out of the bike.
it.
And
Yeah.
very, very talented, but not the most talented rider
Yeah,
I've ever
naturally
seen.
talented. Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people have actually said that though.
Have they? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said most naturally talented. I always hear personally is Casey or Mark.
I haven't ridden against Mark, but Casey for me was, look, he knew what he was doing, but man, what he could do at times on a motorcycle was just wow.
Yeah.
That's just like, Yeah. That's a God-given gift, that is.
Especially on that Ducati.
I know.
Well, no one else could do anything.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been the easiest bike to ride.
Well, Melandri was coming last every year, and he's
Marco
a very,
Melandri, but-
very capable rider.
Easy. I love Marco.
I really like Marco too, and we got on really well. And we're the same age.
Yeah.
He's spent longer in MotoGP than me, but he was Italy's next great hope, right?
Yes, he was.
And the
A lot of
Ducati
pressure.
factory really wanted him. They thought he was going to be the next Rossi. And let's face it, he was second in the championship to Rossi once. And very good on that Honda. But when he got to I don't know if I've told you guys before, but when he got to the Ducati, he said to them, whatever you're paying Casey, triple it because it'll be cheaper than making the bike work. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
I'm not going to get anything out of this like he can. So it doesn't work. And just pay him more because that's how you're going to win races.
That's
Jeez.
incredible to
Insane.
say.
Yeah. So,
Especially with, when you're in that paddock, to have a mentality and turn around and go and
Yeah,
say something like that.
something like that.
That's,
yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a different ballgame.
At least we got the power slide out of Marco Melandri, turn 12, Phillip Island. So I'm very happy about that.
I didn't get to see that in real life because I was in that Grand Prix, but so far I was second, but I was too far behind. I couldn't
True.
see it. So I was on the podium with Marco after that one, but yeah, cool image, isn't it?
I think it's the coolest.
And I said, were you worried about that? Because imagine if it went wrong, right? And he goes, I did it somewhere testing. It might have been Sepang earlier that year, and I knew I could do it. So, because I was like, man, like taking your hand off, because these things have got electronics. What if the traction caught
Kicks
and
in.
just threw him over the bars, or you'd look like a fool. Oh man! So he goes, no, I'd done it somewhere, and I knew it worked. So yeah.
I think, was it Herf was telling us he was on a track day, or was it you maybe? I think it might have been
Herfoss. It was
He was at a track
Herfoss.
day with Melandri, and on his, was it his in-lap?
Phillip Island.
Phillip Island,
Yeah.
on his in-lap, made him look silly, and then they did the same thing, drifted the bike into pit lane.
Yep, I've heard Troy. Troy told me the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He complained about me passing him too close down the straight. This is when he was first getting on a road race.
turn it up,
he was
Troy.
riding the 600 or something. Apparently, I come down the straight too close to him and scared the living daylights out of him. And he told me Melandri did this big power slide and passed him and then into the pit lane. Yeah,
That's wild, man.
yeah.
Imagine seeing that.
Look, compared to a 600 Supersport bike or a Superbike, what he was on here in Oz,
Yeah.
and the MotoGP bikes, it's night and day
Yeah, it
difference.
would be.
It is night and day difference. Yeah.
It would be.
Even though the lap time's not a lot, and the top speed might be 15, 20 Ks, it's the acceleration,
Yeah.
the braking. It's so much more. And it's so much more money and technology and everything. And when you're riding them, just to go that like 1 second faster, it's exponential. As you go that much quicker, it's huge to make it go that much faster. So yeah, they feel so different.
Yeah, it's just. Are they stiffer motorcycle?
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it reminded me today. I was talking to Harrison Voigt. Okay, he's racing in, I think they call it Junior World Championship now
Yeah.
because it's in Spain.
Yes.
right?
Yeah. The CIV.
It sounds like an
championship.
American thing, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, the World Championship of this, the World Championship of that. It was the old CEV.
Yeah,
So it's called.
CEV.
It's a Moto2
Yeah,
Junior
Moto2
World
bike,
Championship. Yeah. So he's riding a Moto2 bike in that championship. They ride through Italy, Portugal, Spain,
Yeah.
France.
It's a good series.
It's a really good series. But he said riding that thing, it's a proper Grand Prix bike, and then he's riding a very good super bike here with the McMartin Ducati. But he said it's so soft, it just moves, and it's a street bike, so it's got a lot more flex. He said his Moto2 thing's got no electronics, and this has got a lot more electronics. But as a chassis point of view, and he goes, unless someone's actually ridden both, they don't understand how different the feel is, and it is like that. And I remember my first ever Grand Prix was at Phillip Island 2005. Here I filled in for Troy Bayliss on the Camel Honda, and the thing was just night and day different to a CBR 1000 that I rode for Tenkata. I won my last race on it, and then was runner up in the championship, and then come here and ride a factory MotoGP bike. It's just night and day, and that's when I knew I needed to get on one. But I still remember riding here, okay, down the straight, the Superbike, we did, I don't know, numbers, but say 310, and the GP bike was maybe 320, 325. But the difference was the Superbike, you got on the straight and you just held it flat and went up gears, and yeah, it shook a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
The MotoGP bike, when you crest the bridge, I had to get on the rear brake because it wanted to wheelie.
Oh,
Like at over 300k an hour, it still wanted to power wheelie. Like that's the difference. Like you're still like fighting.
Always on.
you're not sitting on your butt. Your feet are loaded into the foot pegs the whole way to stop wheel spin, to stop wheelie. Okay, electronics weren't as advanced as they are now and don't have the right devices, but they were machines. Yeah, they were animals. Yeah.
So would you say that it was more physical than a riding a world superbike, or?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, the superbike was physical in that it was heavier. I don't know what the weight might have been, 10 or 12 kilos more.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but in the scheme of
when
you're moving around.
And it was, we're talking a long time ago, right? 2004 or 5, I rode that Honda. It was wide.
Yeah, they're
bigger
bigger
bike, inline 4. When I got on the Honda, it's a V5, so it's much narrower. But yeah, when you're going fast on a Grand Prix bike, the physicality is there because, again, you're entering the corner faster.
Yeah.
You got less time on the straight. You're not sitting down.
Yeah, trying to keep it down more out of corners.
And then the G-force is braking because the carbon brakes stop so much more. So yeah, it is more physical. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
What was one of the most physical tracks you've ridden on? Like, just from a spectator, it seems like something like maybe for Sachsenring because you got less time on the straight, I guess.
Sachsenring was funny because you just go left, straight, left, right, left.
Wave at Mark as he laps you.
He was only in like 125 when I was still there. But Sachsenring was funny because it wasn't physical, but you do spend a lot of time on the sides. So you could cramp up.
Yeah.
And I remember my right leg used to was it right leg or left? But one of my legs would get shaky because you're so long. On the side of the bike, that loading the foot peg, it was funny like that. But I think most physical depends on the weather too. Laguna, you don't get much of a break.
True.
Okay, it's not on the calendar anymore. And we raced there in 06, and it was over 40 degrees Celsius. It was 108 Fahrenheit or whatever Yanks use, And the bitumen was melting off the side of the track. They cancelled the AMA Superbike race before ours because they were making too much of a groove in the bitumen.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it was really, really hot. And I was on pole for that Grand Prix, my second pole, and I led most of it. And then the fuel was actually boiling in the fuel pump before it was making its way to the engine, so it was missing. But I was cooked. But that was heat. And it was that hot that I had blisters on my right leg because the exhaust come up near the foot peg. The foot peg was that hot that all the skin peeled off the bottom of my foot.
Oh,
like it was just she was pretty hard work. And Laguna, you don't get much of a rest either. There's no real that kink through the turn 1 there. It's not fast. It's 240, 250, but you enter, you put your knee on the ground, and then both wheels just leave the ground like. It's physical and the bike shakes and then hard on the brake.
I was going to say hard on the brake for the left.
2 and 3 and then back over the other side and sweat running down and flicking to the front of your visor. It's pretty hard work. I remember that one. That stands out. And Suzuka 8 hour.
Yeah.
I did an 8 hour and it's stupidly hot and humid. But probably the hardest we worked was testing in Malaysia. So there was no testing ban when I raced, but we'd go to Sepang, do 3, 4, 5 days in a row. 80 to 100 laps a day, all on the pace. Like your slowest laps a second off what you can do because there's no point going any slower than that. And you work and it's 35 degrees and 95% humidity. And I look like a Smurf because we were this color, right? All our leathers.
Yeah.
The dye would go into my skin.
No way.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. The dye would come out of the leathers and into my skin. Wasn't the only rider.
I have to try and dig up some photos from the testing days.
Danny would have looked like an Oompa Loompa, right? Or that Repsol orange
and it would have been fitting too because he is this big.
So yeah, it was It's the sweat would go through my leathers and it would be running on the outside of your suit at times.
What?
So hot because you come in the garage and you get even hotter.
Yeah.
There's fans, but the bikes are in there. It's hot, and then make a change and then out again. Yeah. So
no way.
that was the hardest we worked physically. Testing. Yep.
What was your training like?
I did a lot of running.
Yeah.
A little bit of cycling. Bit of weight stuff, but didn't want to. I'm about as tall as a Grand Prix rider got.
Yeah.
And when I raced, I was sort of 67, 68 kilos. I'm like nearly 80 kilos now, so I was a bit thinner than I am. But so I do a lot of sort of plyometric stuff like push-ups, lots of that sort of strength. and holding positions because that's sort of what it's like on the bike. And then lots of running. So I'd be running 60 to 70 kilometers a week.
Yeah, wow.
Just getting Ks to keep the weight off and keep your cardio up, and then and a bit of cycling. But the running, just because it was easier to travel with a pair of shoes. You're always on an aeroplane,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So just run. The worst thing was if you were injured, you couldn't.
Yeah.
It's easy to ride a push bike, you know,
Yeah.
still do some exercise. But and yeah, we get injured.
Yeah.
It's funny that, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
isn't it?
like you fall off the thing and you're sore.
Yeah, it makes a bit of sense, doesn't it?
It does on occasion. So yeah, and I've been on the podium at race weekends where you've had 3 or 4 crashes over a weekend, and you just don't even want to be see podium because you just take me. I just want to go. You know,
Sit down.
Yeah, just sore,
Yeah.
sore. So you know, rolling through a gravel trap at 150, 200 k's an hour, it does take its toll. Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
don't want to. Trust me, you're not missing anything.
I don't think I want to know either.
Stick to MotoGP 24 on PS5 and
Yeah,
it'll be good.
It's funny. I don't miss any of that. Hey, you know,
I
people
bet.
say, "Do you miss riding?" At times, and I do, miss riding the best motorbikes with the best mechanics on the best tracks in the world. But how the build up to get there, and then how focused and mentally you're looking at every hundredth of a second, right? And when you're struggling or when you crash or you're just looking for a few tenths of a second, you can never find it. That's really the real hard work.
Yeah.
And I don't miss hitting the ground, and you know, when it's not right, it's not fun.
That must be a lot mentally to hit the deck, come back to the pits, get back on and go.
I think because you're young,
Yeah.
and dumb, right?
Yeah.
You don't really worry about it. I say that I should correct. If you know, for me, if I knew why I crashed, I didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's my mistake or the bike's mistake or a mechanic made a mistake, okay, I crashed because of
fine.
that reason. If you didn't know why you crashed, well, then that's an
That's
issue.
right.
That's hard to get my head around. Okay, am I going to go in there and that's going to happen again? Or generally, if I knew why, you could work out
you work
to
around it.
not do the same thing again. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
I was sometimes smart enough to do that.
Well, you saw Pedro Acosta's crash in FP1 or FP2 in Austria. He lost the front end. And then he was straight back in the box and back out again.
So they must have known what happened. That was
That was
Yeah.
man. That went early, huh?
didn't it? It was
Really
almost still
early.
upright.
So there's something not right with that.
Yeah.
That you shouldn't lock that, especially with carbon brakes. So carbon, when it loses temperature, every time you go down the straight, the wind hits the carbon, the temperature drops, and carbon doesn't have an initial bite like a steel disc. So you can just grab the hell out of them because they don't bite. And as the temperature builds up, it gets to 400 or 500 degrees.
Yeah.
Then you get more and more braking performance. But it cools down to 200 degrees and you don't have any bite. So it's really strange that as he's grabbed the brake, that thing's just tucked from under him. There wasn't load on that tyre for some reason. Yeah.
That's weird. There's been a little bit of that though this year at a few tracks where people have lost it straight away.
Straight away. Yeah. Yep. Not that early. I don't
No,
know.
that was
extreme,
very early.
but
But
the guys are losing it. The brake pressure does build up, and of course the Brembo carbons are better than when I raced.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that went that early. Yeah.
We'll blame Aero. Just blame
Yeah,
Aero.
blame
on
Aero.
everything.
yeah, 100%.
Ride height device didn't disengage. It'll be something like that.
Is it next year? Ride height goes.
Yeah, I think it is.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it
But
is.
look at Mark's race in Austria. The tyre was leaking or the valve stem was leaking, so they
Yeah.
changed the wheel. Front tyre wasn't as hot. So he's walking on trying to get temperature in the front tyre, engages the ride height device, and there's a safety mechanism so it doesn't engage a second time, right? So he tries to
Go
get
again.
it for the it can't because they don't want it to happen when you brake for turn one,
Yeah.
right? And it ruins his whole race. He mightn't have. Pecco won it, right?
Yeah.
He wouldn't have caught Pecco, in my opinion, but he would have probably caught Martin.
Yeah.
It's it just sucks.
How have you found Marquez's year on the Ducati anyway?
I expected more,
Yeah. I remember you.
Yeah, you were.
I remember
Yeah.
you were huge on him.
but I think the GP23 has the 24 has a step over the 23. I don't think, and I think that's the Michelin tire from this year. So I think when Mark first tested it, there wasn't much of a step because they were running the old tires
Correct.
at the Valencia test, and I think Ducati are developing the 24 bike, and that new Michelin tire pushes the front of the 23s because it's got more grip, where Ducati have developed the chassis of the 24 to allow the bike to turn with that extra grip. And I think Mark's he's doing better than anyone else on a 23, right?
Yeah.
He's the only guy that can. And I think there's more of a step there, not electronically, but chassis-wise, than we understand. And it might only be less than a tenth of a second a lap, but you add that up over 20 laps of a Grand Prix, he's 2.5 seconds behind.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's the difference. But he's the only guy that can manage to get it out of it at times.
Yeah.
I don't know when this is going to go to air, but this weekend's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. He's been quick all weekend again.
Yeah. So,
There might be some angry Italians throwing rocks or something at him from
and
the
do you
boundary.
think Mark would just love to win in Valentino's backyard?
Wouldn't he ever?
No.
Especially against
Tavulia's like
Stone's
20,
throw
30
away.
K's on the race, nowhere. Yeah.
Especially if he takes Pecco in the last corner or something like that.
Punts him. Imagine if he punts him off the
There's going to be a bit of booing in there. There's going to be a bit of booing
I
on
think
that podium.
people will rate, like, they'll run the track.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be like doing in Crivier.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be allowed out of the pits.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That was the thing, wasn't he? Didn't come out of the pits after that.
Who, Mick?
Mick?
Yeah.
They wanted to kill him.
Mick wouldn't have cared, though.
No, 100%. No, he was loving it on the podium. He was like, yeah.
Loving it.
He's an animal.
Yes, exactly. No, good times that. Good times.
gonna be
Marquez
wild.
feeds off the hate though. Like it spurs him on even more.
He's a strong character. I don't think it affects him. Like, right? He's got a massive following on a big chunk of the world.
Yep.
And let's face it, it all happened because of his fallout with Valentino.
Yeah.
So there's massive Valentino fans are just going to hate the Marquezes and vice versa. And it was all because of that fallout. And it's interesting.
It's good to as obviously fans.
Yeah.
It's the funniest. It's great.
100%. I think it's hilarious. I think it's really hilarious. What's going to happen next year though? Pecco
I know.
and Mark.
What are your thoughts on that? Them choosing him? Do you think it was the right call?
They've chosen him for two reasons. There's a commercial advantage, obviously.
Yep.
But I don't think Gigi Dall'Igna... Gigi makes the decision, let's face it, over everyone. And I don't think he's that fussed on the commercial decision. He's a technical guy.
He wants the best guy.
He wants the best guy. And I think he sees the data more than anyone else and probably knows what Mark's getting out of that motor, which makes me think that Mark's getting a lot out of that 23 bike.
And that's a base 23 bike too, remember. It's not
like Zarco's.
Yeah, it's
bike
not what
started
Pecco
the
and
year.
that finished on.
Yep. So it won one race, right? Phillip Island.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark's going to be fast here.
Yeah.
Mark's going to be fast.
He's always quick here.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. That's interesting. I actually never looked at it that way, that they would have looked more into the data.
Gigi makes the calls.
Yeah, of course.
Mostly like that. So, what is it? Claudio Domenicali?
Yeah.
Is it
He's
him?
the director of sport. What is he?
No, he's the F1 guy. Is
No.
he director of sport?
No, he's a big dog of Ducati, isn't it?
Yeah, Claudio.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
he signs off on it, but Gigi makes the decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, there's Claudio and Stefano Domenicali.
That's
isn't
what
there?
I was confused about then. That's what I was thinking. Stefano is F1.
Is F1.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It's too many Italian names.
Yeah.
There's too much going on.
Exactly. So, yes.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it. And then
So I think Mark, that win at Aragon was good, but I expected it to come earlier. I think this season.
there's
But
a lot of mistakes because like at Coda he was leading, probably should have won, could have won.
Yep.
And then crashed, obviously getting used to the bike. Then you had Saxon Ring got injured, had a massive off. People forget that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, look,
And it's not easy. Let's face it. I expect him to do more, but he's still third in the championship. you know.
Yeah,
And
that's
those two
right.
guys at the front are on the best motorbikes, and they're not slow. Neither of them. But next year's going to be interesting, and next year's going to be very.
Yeah.
I can't pick it. Honestly, can't pick it. Like,
How that's going to unfold? Is there going to be a wall up down the garage? Is it going to be Lorenzo Rossi time again, or is it going to be harmonious? It's not going to be, is it? Because one of them is going to be beating the other one.
Yeah.
And it's not going to go
and they
down
all
well.
got massive egos. Pecco's a top dog at Ducati. If Marquez strolls in and goes F you to everyone.
Does Mark want to cause chaos because he loves chaos
I think
around
yes.
him, And Pecco doesn't like that.
Yeah.
He likes
He
the
likes
calm.
the calm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's
It
gonna be
it could be a very Dovi and Lorenzo style how it was
Yep.
at Ducati, which that didn't end well for anyone.
Cheeseburger Lorenzo.
Yeah,
Well,
cheesy.
Ducati got rid of Lorenzo too quick, didn't they?
Yeah, didn't they?
Silly move.
I know. Yeah. It took him longer to get on with the thing, but when he got on with it, wow, he's fast. Yeah.
Yeah, that cost him a championship.
Yeah, big time. Yep, 100%.
That set him back so far.
Yep.
Well, Cheeseburger ended up going on to that Honda and doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but he was cooked.
Who's done on anything on
that's
that
right.
Honda?
That's right. Anyone else that jumped on that bike did nothing. After Danny left,
Yeah.
there was no other one that could
No.
ride the bike like Mark could.
It was just
And
ruin careers.
Danny's been criticised like never winning a championship. Why was he that good? But you talk to Casey, and Casey said he's learnt the most of riding a motorcycle from anyone in the world off Danny Pedrosa.
There you go.
He rates him very, very highly.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of times Danny should have won the world championship, but things happen. And
Yeah.
it happens to everyone, let's face it.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta have a
stuff
bit of luck
happen.
on your side.
But yeah, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Yeah, he was very fast on a motorcycle.
Honda stuffed up by letting him go.
100%.
Yeah, didn't they ever?
Yep.
They rested on their laurels too much, Honda, where
Yep.
KTM swooped in.
Yep.
Ducati just advanced everything. And
Yep.
Honda just
And now,
typical
I don't
Honda
know.
arrogance, seriously.
Honda have got Alicia Spargo as a test rider. I get on well with Alicia. He's probably the last guy in there that I raced against. But bloody hell, man.
You've been riding his bike around a bit, haven't you?
An old one.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
2013 Aprilia MotoGP bike, owned by a guy in Brisbane, Tom Dermody, Irish guy. He's got a cool collection of motorcycles. He's got 4 or 5 YZR 500s.
Cool, nice.
He's got some Suzuki 8-hour factory Hondas. He's got that Aprilia MotoGP bike. He's got some really old stuff, some RGBs,
Yeah,
like
cool.
late 70s, that sort of stuff. And just he's done well for himself and loves the motorcycles and loves going to events and having these bikes around. And
Good on him.
yeah, he gets me to ride that Aprilia occasionally. So it's my reality check that I'm slow. So, no, I have fun on it. It's good.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
a cool bike. Yeah, cool
Yeah,
bike.
but you reckon wrong choice for Honda?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, Aleix brought a lot to Aprilia, but you can't be. I don't know. I just don't. They need someone faster. That's my opinion.
Who would be the ideal candidate? You reckon?
Yeah, I don't
Not
know.
Taka, that's for sure.
Nah, Tack is out. It's funny though that I don't know. They might have used him in Japan to do some stuff. I don't know who the ideal candidate
Yeah.
is.
It's hard. There's not really anyone out there when you think of it.
No.
Like, think of
But
test
Stefan
riders.
Bradl is not a good choice. So Aleix
Yeah.
is a step over Stefan.
100%.
But yeah, maybe not many people around, right?
No, there's not. Like,
It's hard. Even you see Cal Crutchlow, like Cal's not there anymore. He's
Yeah.
not.
yeah.
But then you look at Michele Pirro. He's an amazing test rider and built this bike, but I wouldn't say he's a
But he's still
MotoGP elite.
10-time champion as well,
Yeah.
just quietly.
In Italian
In
championship.
Italian championship,
But he
won his
just won
10th.
the Italian Superbike Championship again. And he turns up to a GP and he can run sort of top 15. He can score a point. He can score a point in World Superbike. So you're right. He's not someone you'd
Yeah, he's
go,
not.
wow. But he obviously brings some good information. Yeah. So maybe Aleix will be that guy.
Well, at least he's gonna bring a lot of technical
hopefully
data.
I'll eat my words, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I
I mean,
hope so as well.
Because I want to see Honda back.
Yeah.
We want to see it more
Absolutely we do.
level playing field.
I think there's rumours that Dobby wants to have a crack at the Yamaha one too.
Yeah, well, he's filling in or has filled in the Mazzano test where Cal
Yeah.
had a shoulder or a hand.
Yeah,
or
I think he's injured in some sort.
some sort of way. Probably fell off his push bike. Knowing Cal, he'll go and do 1,000,000 miles a year on his pushy.
Yeah.
Hurt himself. Yeah, so
That's funny, man.
yeah, so
But I think that'll be a good step for Yamaha
Mm.
to get Dobby back out there.
if he's fast enough, I don't know.
He fell away a lot towards those last 2 years.
He had a half a year on that YNF.
yeah,
the RNF with
RNF,
Rossi.
RNF, that's it, with the Yamaha.
the Petronas thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't do
Nothing.
No,
much.
did
Did he?
nothing.
But it's a very different motorcycle than it's almost the opposite of the Ducati that he came off.
Yeah.
Right? How to get speed out of it, how to do a lap time. Very much a wrong choice, if you ask me, for him to be competitive on the Ducati, for them to think that he's going to go to Yamaha and take something there. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been out of it for a while now when you think of it too.
Yep.
Things have changed so
It does.
quickly.
It changes really quickly. And you can lose half a second like that, being out of it for a little while. And it's hard to find that. That's the hardest
Yeah,
half a second
that's-
to find, Like,
yeah.
so,
True.
but it's going to be interesting. And Miguel on the Yamaha next year.
Yeah.
Fabio staying. That's
know.
the big one. But he obviously believes in the project going forward.
20 mil
I
helps.
was going to say, do you
20
think
mil
he
helps.
believes in the project or he believes in the pay packet?
I don't think he's that sort of guy.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think he's that sort of. Like Aleix, you go, yeah, he's taking the paycheck, man. He wants a few more supercars, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think he wants to win. I think he genuinely wants to win.
Yeah, right.
And he knows, stay with the devil, right? Like sort
Yeah,
of thing.
I suppose.
And top 10, he makes
Yep,
Q2
makes
at
Q2.
Misano. So they've just done some testing here. They've brought some new parts.
That's right. And he's predominantly typically been good at this track.
Yes, yep. So, yeah, look, they were a while away, but he obviously believes in the way it's going. Money
That's
doesn't
fair
hurt either.
Well,
Right,
That's
yeah.
all right. It sets you up for life, doesn't it? Really.
And he's still young enough.
Yeah, yep. Like that was Mark's thing, right? Because he said, I'm not
That's
young enough.
right.
Yeah.
He said Honda will come back, but I don't have the time to wait for them to come back.
True.
So yeah.
That's fair enough.
It's still a baller move going to a privateer Ducati and then putting your balls on the line. Really,
Yeah. He loves it, doesn't he?
after a massive injury.
I'm a huge fan, as you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting, just back on the Yamaha with Miguel, though. Who do you think's going to take that second seat?
There's rumours of Jack, obviously, which
obviously
we
we know,
hear.
yep.
I heard Sergio Garcia, and like I said
Yep.
before, I heard there's too many Spaniards, so he's sort of a no-go. Who else?
Iannone.
That's the talk,
That's what
isn't
we're
it?
talking about in the back of the paddock
Yeah.
today.
Paolo Campanotti, who owns Pramac and the team, he is a big fan of Iannone, and he's well connected with Iannone's manager.
Yeah, you were saying that earlier
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. From Jack's point of view, I'd love to see Jack keep racing.
Yeah.
But is it the right thing for Jack Miller to be on a bike? Let's face it, there's going to be a challenge to score points
Yeah.
at every race. Is that how you want to finish your career and be remembered? I don't know. It's when I
It's a
stopped,
tough
I had
one.
options to get on. It was actually a Pramac Ducati, which wasn't very good at the time.
Yeah.
It was pretty average motorbike. And I thought, could this be the end of my MotoGP career and be on a bike realistically that I'm going to struggle with? Or do I go to World Superbike on a factory Kawasaki? And that's, you make
ultimately
your
what
decision.
you
Because I thought I wanted to win races. I
Of
didn't
course.
want to just be a guy that's there just to be there.
Yeah, filling up grid spots.
And I hope, it'd be interesting to see what Jack goes. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were there, who would you pick? From let's move away from you might know Jack and be good with Jack, but you want to win and you want to develop the bike. Who are
Joe
you?
Roberts.
Wow, that's a left
I
field
like that.
answer.
I just think there's something about him.
I'm off him at the moment, but
Are you?
yeah, because of his stupid move on the weekend.
Oh, that was silly.
That was a
wasn't
bit
it?
silly.
Really silly. Really, he didn't need to do that.
no,
Like,
not at
just-
all. He was going to pass him in
just
the next
take your
corner.
time. I know.
Yeah.
I know. So, no, I think there's something there with Joe. I think
I like that.
the kid's got speed. He's American. We want an American in that
Love,
championship.
love American the championship.
I was shocked that Trackhouse didn't take him.
I thought it was a foregone
Yeah.
conclusion.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
take
I
him.
really, really thought that. So that's who I'd take. But he's resigned, hey, with American
I
Racing.
believe
so,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I don't think anyone else from Moto2 is coming up.
no. So we've got Chantra and Igura.
Enagura, yeah, they're the only ones.
Firmin Aldeguer.
And
and
Fermin
Firmin
Aldeguer.
as well. Yeah, he,
Well,
is he,
actually, I've
how quickly do you
forgotten
forget about him?
Well, that's it,
I
isn't
was
it?
gonna say, what's your thoughts on him? He had a crazy crash and moves on at Aragon, but was the signing too early? We talk about it all the time. We think it is, but it's interesting.
The world changed, and it's changed in the period that I raced, where we would race, finish our season, especially in World Superbike, and not have a contract. And then you'd negotiate with the team, oh, yeah, I'm going to stay for next year. Yeah, cool. And so on. And then MotoGP, and as I progressed, it got earlier and earlier and earlier. And then there's guys signing before the season starts. Like, the big one for me was when Alex Marquez had not turned a wheel in MotoGP, and he was already getting pushed off the Repsol Honda team onto the LCR team.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't even done a lap. He's done a couple of testing laps, but
yeah,
the kid hasn't even done a race, and you're already firing him in a way. Like
So wild.
it's just wild, isn't it? How it works. So yeah, no, that's I think a transfer window or something. They need to do something.
that'll
to,
be interesting.
That's cool.
maybe in August or September or summer break or something.
Just have a full-on silly season.
I reckon it'd be cool.
That's
that
a
would
great
be
idea.
unreal. Imagine that.
It'd be hard to police because how do you know negotiations aren't going on
Yeah, that's the
and
thing.
all done? But it would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? So,
That would be.
Chabati would be at someone's door at 3 a.m. trying to do a secret signing.
100%. Yeah, put the fake mustache and
Yeah,
glasses on.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Oh, that'd be funny.
Yeah, well, that's interesting though, Joe Roberts. I like that.
Yeah. Look, I'd love to see Jack on it too, from an Aussie point of view.
Yeah,
But
of course,
I
yes.
put my points forward, you know.
Yeah.
But what else has Jack got? Like, there's nothing in World Superbike either.
No,
I
I
don't
know.
think, right?
That's the thing. Like,
So,
I think there might be a Moto Corsa seat because I don't think Rinaldi's signing back on,
okay.
from what I've read.
Yep.
He's got some options elsewhere too.
Man, he's another guy that sort of,
He's fallen away too.
and yeah, quickly, hey. Yeah.
Yep, very quickly.
Yeah, it moves on real quick.
It does. It does.
Do you think going back to Furman though, what's your predictions for next year for him? Because we've talked about this quickly a lot. Alonso Lopez had a really good end of year 2 years ago,
Yep.
Mm.
was it? We
Yeah,
call
would
it the
be-
Alonso
yeah, really
Lopez effect.
effect.
And then they sign him on, and then Furman Aldeguer has 5 good races at the end of the year. And Alonso Lopez that next year did nothing again.
Yep.
And then Furman Aldeguer has done the exact same thing, and they've signed him. So then to go
I know.
to MotoGP on a Ducati,
Grassini.
Grassini Ducati, like, is it just a few good flyaway races? But then you see Fabio Quartararo, he had a real good short stint.
But, well, not even long. Like, what, he won one race.
Yeah, I think it was Barcelona.
Barcelona. It was just the right timing.
And then, but that went the other way. And then he did really well, won a title.
And it's
so,
it's
Yeah.
funny. Maybe he's going to do better because there's a lot of talk about Furman Aldeguer's from the same town as Pedro Acosta, right?
Acosta,
And
yeah.
they grew up together and they challenged each other through their whole careers. So they're saying like he was very good. And Quartararo is a bit like that, right? He came in. They lowered the age limit in Moto3 to get Fabio Quartararo in because he'd already twice junior world champion. And he's like, well, I want to go to the world championship, but he was too young. So he'd already won 2
yeah, wow.
Spanish championships,
Yeah, nuts.
basically. And and so they lowered the age, and then he came in and he showed a bit of form in Moto3, but it never really transpired. Then he
Yeah.
got on a Moto2 bike, and it was nothing. And it's like, oh, that was a lot of hype for nothing. That this kid was going to be great. Got on a MotoGP bike, and
Bang.
wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't know, and they're different formulas. So if the tire doesn't suit the rider,
Yeah.
or the team you're with, or there's so many little variables that can make such a big difference. So it's hard to say, but I hope Furman Aldeguer is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I think the hardest thing is there's so many good riders in that paddock now that you think, oh, you could have taken anyone else. Whereas I think maybe when Fabio and some of those other boys were coming, you knew,
They're
all right,
go-
Morbidelli was going to come up on his own.
Yep.
You know, Pecco was coming up with Miguel. There's only a handful here and there that are coming up. Like the last big influx from Moto2 was Marini, Bettecchi, and Bastianini.
Yep.
When they came up, all three of
Yeah.
them came up together.
Basically.
Yep. Was that the year
And
after
Marti-
Pecco?
Martin
And
as well?
Martin. And Martin. I
And
knew there was
Martin.
someone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's talking about Morbidelli though. What's happened? Like he's still nowhere on a Ducati.
I
and
still put it down to that preseason accident though.
Yeah.
Like he's doing okay. He's had a couple decent little. I mean, the VR46 thing saved him for next year. Otherwise,
100%.
he was going to be in the Superbike paddock.
100%. 100%. So I love it. I like Franco. Great,
Yeah.
great character. Was fast, second in the world
Yeah,
championship
people
on
are
that
quick for-
private
Yep.
Yamaha.
That Petronas Yamaha.
But that was the old Yamaha. And you know when he went to the factory Yamaha, he went sort of 2-year step,
Yep.
Yes.
right? And the bike was very, very different. So like completely different. And he just could not,
No, he
it just
couldn't
didn't
grasp
suit.
it.
And the Yamaha, Fabio was the only guy that could get anything out of that Yamaha. And Franco was like, he just wasn't there,
Frustrating.
you know, and really frustrating. And then backwards, and then the knee injury, and then
help.
like his last knee gets 24 Ducati, and then you know that
Falls up.
it's just I don't know. Is he ever going to come back? I'm not sure. I'd
Yeah,
love
I
to
don't-
see it
I
because
don't
I reckon he's
think
cool. But
so. But I think I'm not ruling out a podium
Mm.
for this. At least at these next 2 rounds.
you reckon?
100%. He's got to get one.
You put
either-
it. You put him in
I
your top
put him
5.
in my top 5.
Copped
Did
a lot
ya?
of flack for that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Italian bias, they reckon.
Did they?
Yeah, that's
They
what
can
the
get
fans
stuffed.
think.
The mafia, is it?
Yeah.
he's a
100%.
part of it.
Mafioso.
Yeah.
His
Oh, no, I
his,
don't have my earring in.
Yeah.
My little chili earring.
his grandfather's a part of it. Owns Lygon Street.
Can you
Nah,
get him to
come
sort
on,
the weather
Jamie.
out?
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think this is his best chance though for Franco.
Mm-hmm.
These
Knows the
next
track
this
like
next
the back of his
round.
hands.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know.
Like, and I think that's where he took. Did he take his first win there in COVID years? Was it there?
You're testing me now. I'm not sure.
Or maybe second one or something.
Yeah, it's one of them.
Did he? Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he won there because it was almost a VR46 lockout of the podium. It was Franco, Pecco,
That's good.
and
Valet.
Mia pipped Rossi
Yep.
on the last lap with, I think, 2 or 3 corners to go.
But he didn't get out of that place very easy.
Who's Mia?
Yeah.
I don't think he was lucky there was no one there. That's why he probably did it. He's like, oh, no crowds, I can make the
crowd
move
can
on
make
the
the move,
doctor.
yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's all right.
Yes. So.
yeah, absolutely wild though.
Yeah, it is funny. I've had experience like that with Rossi. I was talking about it with someone today. There's Valencia 2006 when Troy Bayliss won the race.
Yep.
And Rossi and Nicky Hayden are fighting for the championship. Valentino's leading by a few points last round. And he's in front of me in the race. And he's slow. And it's very, very rare that you go, Jesus, I've got more pace than Valet. I'm like, what's he doing sort of thing. And I was thinking, I've got to make a move on him soon. And it's hard to pass. And I'm thinking, shit, if I knock him off, I'll never be able to leave this place, right? Can you imagine knocking Valentino Rossi off and he loses the championship? So, and then he tucks the front in front of me.
Did it to himself.
In turn 2, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty big move. But yeah, he struggled. But yeah, it's funny. It was going through my mind there, you know, because we're in 7th and 8th place or something. Like, it's not going to go for a podium, but yeah, it's
That was wild. I remember that.
yeah.
Coming into this championship, obviously, it's probably Martin Pecco by the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your money on going in?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that close. It's really tight. I'm going to go Pecco
Yeah.
because he's on the factory bike.
Chibati's going to play with
They're
his
gonna look
tyre
after him?
sensors or something
Yeah,
like
I
that?
think I just think it's more important for the factory to not be beaten by the private team.
Yeah.
But saying that, if he makes one more big mistake,
over.
like what he did in Aragon, like that's just done. Yeah. So not that it was completely his fault. I'm not going one side or the other. I think it was a bit of a racing incident, but it could have been avoided by either rider.
Both parties.
So if he just hung out there a little bit longer, he was going to pass Alex Marquez before the end of the race. It wasn't the last lap.
You know, same as Joe Roberts.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. So big mistake on his part from the championship. So if he makes another big mistake like that, it's going to be hard to catch Martin because he's been second in nearly every race.
He's changed from last year.
Hasn't he?
You know, because I think we spoke last time after, was it Qatar? When he had the tyre failure and he was shaking. Because I think I was asking you about, remember how he was like shaking his head and he ruined his race?
Yeah, 100%. And got in his head.
How quickly is he, like, he's done so great to change.
He's the opposite guy, isn't he? He's like, I'll manage this. I'm not going to go out. Because last year he was the fastest guy.
Yeah, and he'd just try and
but
go.
he made too many issues or got inside his own head. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he deals with that this year.
And Ducati won't want that number 1 plate going to Aprilia.
God, no.
Oh, 100%. I hadn't even thought of that situation. Yeah.
Imagine that. And
it's conspiracy theory, hey?
That's what we do on this podcast.
Yeah, okay.
That's all we talk about, conspiracies.
Very good.
Chris, thanks so much for coming on.
No worries.
We're going to take you to a dinner.
Yes.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks again.
I'm actually working down here, much like in Australia. So,
Yeah.
Got to go and do my official bit soon. So.
Shout out. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love picking your brain about MotoGP and your career as well. And the listeners love it. We love
Absolutely. No
Good.
doubt
It's
we'll
been
do
great.
it for a third time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's good to see you guys. And I'll be back here at Phillip Island for MotoGP.
perfect.
We'll see you
I'm
then.
working for Channel 10. So
Yep.
Oh, beautiful.
it's free to air as well. So it's good.
Oh, that's great
It's
for
good.
that's
It's good
great for the
that we get it out there as well.
viewers.
And can't wait.
Nah, it's gonna be awesome.
Good on you. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks,
Chris.
guys. Cheers.
Bye.